Welcome back to CW Football Saturday. It's presented by Olive Garden's never-ending pasta bowl, starting at $13.99. Here's the keys to the game. It's brought to you by Sky Rizzi.
Yeah, for Fresno State, E.J. Warner needs to be a game manager. And great game managers are great quarterbacks because you're not pressured to just throw the football, but you're able to manage the game and run the football, and they've done a tremendous job so far. For the Beavers, the defense needs to stop the run, and they have not done that so far on this first drive. And Gundy, their offensive coordinators, needs to just simply wear blinders. Be you, young man. Continue to know and do what you do best.
Jacob Schuster now playing in the middle in that spot that Pomey would normally be in. So Fresno State in Oregon State territory, and that's a smart play. Well, there's the experience of Warner. Nothing there, so just ground it, take the incomplete.
Yeah, great job by the defense of the Beavers to get there. The impact players
are brought to you by Old Spice.
Yeah, Bryson Donaldson, of course, what a great week he had a week ago, 167 yards rushing. On the defensive side of it, Skylar Thomas, he's not only a DB that plays as a safety, but he plays a lot up in the box and gets after the quarterback as well. He's going to be a big factor in making tackles in those gaps when those running backs enter.
Those interior linemen, D linemen, Thomas Collins and Schuster, very important here for Oregon State. Trying to get pressure, Warner escapes. And Warner's got a lot of room, he's going to take it all the way. Touchdown Fresno State. 30-yard run by E.J. Warner.
I don't know if his pops ever had that kind of fleet of foot. Man coverage down the line, and once he sees that and sees the backs turn to him, he just takes off, and there is no one. Great job by the receivers, too, of not just stopping. They kept running down the field, making their defender follow them all the way into the end zone, where E.J. Warner gallops, you would say, into the end zone.
That is call. He's going to call Dad and say, Dad, you ever have one of those?
Nope, he hasn't.
Dylan Lynch, the kicker for Fresno State, puts it through, and exactly what the visiting team wants, what the Beavers wanted to avoid, is getting behind early.
Watch his eyes here. He knows exactly and immediately that it is man coverage, and then he takes off. Again, great job by the wide receivers to keep the defenders preoccupied, continuing to run down the field. Nigel, tough to do when you're in man coverage.
Yeah, what Oregon State tried to do there was run an ET stunt. So the defensive tackle did a nice job getting up the field. When the defensive end, it was Hickle, came underneath. He got knocked to his feet, and that's where they lost their rush lane integrity. Warner saw everything, took advantage, and took off.
Now this is something Trent Bray talked to us quite a bit about yesterday, was that he felt lost last year being the head coach and being hands-off on the defense. He wanted to be back and be calling things on defense.
There's a lot of that goes on with head coaches when they ultimately ascend to the top job. They miss the everyday X's and O's of the game planning type of thing.
And this kickoff will be a touchback, so here comes Oregon State. And again, the thing that for the second straight week that Malik Murphy's going to tackle with the offense is coming out and immediately playing uphill.
Wasn't a bad week last week necessarily, but the film doesn't lie. And when we talked to Ryan Gunderson, offensive coordinator, he talked about the things, certain plays here or there that he has to stay within the offense. I asked Coach what it was like this week, you know, having to coach up that big-time transfer that you brought in here to be the leader, coaching him up hard this week, and how did he take it?
So first down, a little small fake to Hankerson, throw over the middle to Bryce Caulfield, a completion to the tight end. It's going to get 6 yards as we look at more impact players, brought to you by Old Spice.
It's Jaden Pearson. He is on his fourth squad here, but he is the leader. Speedy linebacker, and he'll be chasing down Malik Murphy. I think this is the impact player. He's got to have a great game and be the leader that they need him to be.
Motion now, you have 5 wide for Oregon State. 4 rush, Murphy, throw that was not held by Taz Reddix. Would have been just shy of the stick and leaves the Beavers with a 3rd down.
Yeah, just a little hesitant with the throw. Was a little bit behind the receiver then, and that made it for a difficult completion. I used to love empty because you were able to survey the entire defense and see what they give you. You know when they were going to blitz and when they weren't. You got to be just a little bit more defined in what you're doing at the quarterback position. Empty once again here, Ted.
Trent Walker, middle receiver top, has been the favorite target. Was certainly last week for Murphy. And now he throws to the middle. Again, a little bit behind, but this time caught by Reddix, who crosses midfield.
Well, what they do, Ted, is they just flip it. They flip the formation there, and they brought him over with the motion, and this time that opens up a big slot. Way to use his eyes, to look away just a little bit, come back, make sure Reddix catches the ball, picks up the first down.
And Ryan, the first thing we heard from Trent Bray this week, what Cal did to Oregon State last week was their first-time quarterback got rid of the ball fast.
Yep.
Murphy's getting rid of the ball quickly here, these first few throws.
Well, that's always a benefit. You know, if you could get the ball to your playmakers as soon as possible, it allows less time for the defense to rally and make tackles.
How about that powerful formation, and throws out of it, but misses Walker.
Yeah, they ran RPO to it, and he pulls it, has an open Sauce Walker in the open side of the field, and he just misses him.
Well, the easy word that we heard a lot this week from the Beavers is confidence. In the sense they're trying to get Murphy some rhythm and some confidence here in the first drive.
Yeah, I think as a quarterback, you want to get as many opportunities, to get hit early and then to get the ball out of your hand and see completions.
And now trying to run it, counter with Hankerson. Good run. 1,000-yard back. Last year, Hankerson has an 8-yard gain to leave the Beavers a short third.
Yeah, when you're not, let's say, the power team in the conference or the power team in the division, you have to do what your identity is. And their identity has always been running the football. As long as Trent Bray's been here as a player, as an assistant coach, and now as a head coach, their identity relies on how they run the football, establishing themselves up front, and that allows the quarterback then to be big time down the field.
All right, Hankerson is the single back, 2 tight ends. Trying to run for it, and will get it. Hankerson does push ahead far enough. And one thing as we watch Oregon State today, remember, is that they're going to go for it on 4th, even if they don't get this.
It's a good job. This is just a trap. Brings the tight end all the way from the other side of the formation along the offensive line, blocks out enough to get Hankerson for that first down.
Closed captioning for today's game is brought to you by Uqora, effective ingredients so you can get your life back. And Jabari Johnson in the game gives the pitch, and going outside, Hankerson got stood up and then took another big pop. One thing that's different for Oregon State this year, last year, Ryan, the first half of the year was a 2-back system. Jam Griffin and Hankerson. Right now, it's pretty much Hankerson.
Pretty much, and then Jam Griffin, of course, got hurt during the season, and it became all about Anthony Hankerson, and he really reveled in that role and took off, and now coming back for another year, was named captain. A lot of expectation on the young man back there in the backfield with Malik Murphy.
Jabari Johnson in the game now. This is a second-year quarterback. He got some time last year for the Beavers. More of a mobile threat, going to pitch it again. Hankerson, had the outside, but a nice tackle. Good stop there by Kavion Thunderbird of the Fresno State defense.
I like that name.
And now the Beavers are going to go quick here.
Great job.
They're going to go with no huddle. And Johnson gives the ball to Hankerson up the middle, and he gets enough for the first down. So there's using Johnson and trying to change the tempo. Going without the huddle, and it gets them a first down.
It's interesting. They were adamant about doing this last year. You understood why last year with kind of an up and down season at quarterback. But I find it odd sometimes when your quarterback starts to get in a rhythm that you just pull them out for, let's say, 3 plays. Enough, though, where it doesn't hamper them. They pick up the first down on 3 running plays.
All right, so now look at the big bunch to the right there. All the tight ends of the game for Oregon State. Murphy's play action looking and comes across the middle, and what a catch by Walker. Murphy threads it, Walker holds it. 1st and goal, Beavers.
Yeah, this is a throw that quarterbacks at home I do not suggest. I mean, there is more Fresno State Bulldogs around this. Great play action. He pulls it down, and he just fires this football perfectly between 2 defenders. Great catch by Sauce. He gets to the ground. big first down, sets them up, first and goal.
Ryan, I would suggest that's the kind of throw the Beavers couldn't make last year.
No, they could not. You are exactly right on that point. There isn't too many teams that can make that throw, though.
And to the end zone, touchdown Oregon State. David Wells.
Probably had Walker right out of the gate for the corner route. He passed him up, and luckily enough, you get the over on the other side coming across the field, perfectly put right in his arms.
Yeah, and I'm sorry, that's Eddie Freoff, a first-year player with his first career touchdown.
Well, he got free, that's for sure.
Yeah, that is a really nice story. Eddie Freoff getting, oh, wow. And this is another story today for Oregon State, as they'll have a failed extra point amongst the injuries, which, again, are really crazy for Oregon State after just one game. Dylan Black, their long snapper, a wonderful story, missed last year fighting testicular cancer. He got hurt last week in the Cal game, and it is a backup long snapper today, and it cost the Beavers on the first try.
I mean, you do not understand, or you do take for granted positions like long snapper only when you don't have them to rely on anymore. You know, that is a battery that normally goes, but when you don't have it, it can cause a lot of misfunction.
And there's Oregon State, a longtime veteran coach. He has Beaver history. Danny Langsdorff there, who is as an offensive assistant on the sideline working with the quarterbacks, while Ryan Gunderson, the coordinator, calls plays from up top. And a nice story there, Eddie Freoff, a young man that was raised in an orphanage in Uganda and was brought to the United States, hurt himself in high school, and Oregon State still honored their scholarship offer to him in his first year playing as his first touchdown. All right, there's the Beavers covered that kickoff, stop Luke shy of the 25. Well, you're watching CW Football Saturday, and it's presented by Olive Garden's never-ending pasta bowl, starting at $13.99, and now with spicy 3-meat sauce. By Royal Caribbean, come seek. And by Bank of America, what would you like the power to do? All right, a nice Beaver student turnout today, and they're happy. They saw the offense match Fresno State with a touchdown drive. And now we get to round 2. And a flag is going to come down, so that has the earmarks of a holding call as Warner broke out and gained yardage.
Holding offense, number 74, 10-yard penalty, first down.
Looking up, E.J. Warner had the 30-yard touchdown run. As you see, Coach Matt Entz. A remarkable career at North Dakota State. You see the NCS championships. You were part of seeing some of those, Ryan, but he left last year and spent 1 year at USC on Lincoln Riley's staff. And Rayshon Luke is smothered. Now that's the kind of play that the Beavers need to see from their defensive front. And that's Tajay Mullix.
Mullix just sheds his defender and just absolutely dismantles the running back in the backfield for a tackle for loss. There's always something to the coaches and their ability to make those adjustments once you get beat like they did. And we're seeing that so far here on the start of the second drive.
Mullix from Covington, Georgia. Played at a couple of schools. Beavers lost people to the portal. They were able to use the portal, though, to bring some folks in. Not just Murphy, the quarterback. There's Warner throwing, getting some of the penalty yardage back to Josiah Freeman.
I'll tell you what, though, if you are a young quarterback out there and you are looking at fundamentals and technique, I don't know there's a better tactician than what E.J. Warner's doing. I mean, he's balanced. He's over his front foot. He brings that left elbow through, and the right elbow leads the way. I mean, it's pretty incredible. It doesn't surprise me at all because he's one of the best quarterback coaches of all time in his pops.
All right, third down. Fresno State needs the 33-yard line. And Warner is going to miss. A little bit behind Freeman, who's covered well, and that's a nice reversal for the Beaver defense, thanks to the holding penalty. In part, they get a 3 and out.
Yeah, the holding penalty does a lot of work, right? It puts you back behind the sticks, and then you as a defense got to just make sure you don't get beat. And this was really good defense, but the throw, I think, was going to be pretty good. Freeman just was a little alligator arm there coming across the middle, as any young wide receiver should be.
All right, Nick Verdugo is the punter for Fresno State. Trent Walker, the returner. So it'll be a first down here for all right, we welcome those of you that were watching Baylor and SMU on CW Football Saturday. Fresno State, Oregon State. Each team scored a touchdown on their first possession. And Anthony Hankerson, Oregon State's lead running back, over 1,000 yards a year ago. And his big burst takes the ball inside the Fresno State 40. Oregon State wearing the orange tops with white helmets and white pants. Fresno State, their main color red. Now a toss to David Wells, an attempted running play, and that's snuffed out by the Fresno State's defense. Cameron Braca on the tackle.
Here's the previous play where Hankerson just absolutely does a great job following his line. The push that he gets up front, then he uses his quickness, puts his leg in the ground, steps aside, and has a big explosive play, which is what this Oregon State football team desperately needs from offense.
Well, the Beavers lost their first game last week to Cal. They got behind early in the first half and never really recovered. Fresno State scored on the opening drive, a 30-yard run by quarterback E.J. Warner. And now the Beavers answered with a touchdown, but they've been stopped here on back-to-back run plays, and that is a familiar name for Pac-12 football fans. Corey Foreman, remember him? TFL.
Yeah, that's a big TFL. He just gets unblocked and then is able to shed the stiff arm from Hankerson. Hankerson already to the point right now where he has as many yards as he had the entire game against Cal rushing, which is a good sign for Beavers fans out there.
Corey Foreman, 3 years at USC, now in his second season at Fresno State. So it's a long third down now for the Beavers. Saladin Allah into the left of quarterback Malik Murphy. Allah stays in the block. Murphy trying the sideline, broken up. And he had David Wells breaking down the sideline against the coverage of Jakari Embry.
Yeah, it's a double move, and he gets by him. The ball's just underthrown enough where David Wells isn't able to grab it as Jakari Embry just gets his hand and knocks it away.
That looked like a touchdown.
It would have been,
yeah. The lead throw, yep.
Just a little bit behind.
All right, A.J. Windsor is the punter this year for Oregon State. Wow, well, the Beavers, this is a concern for them in the first half, as that ball will make the end zone. Oregon State's main long snapper hurt last week, and he is out. They missed the snap on an extra point attempt, and now a shaky snap on the punt. So it is 7-6 Fresno State in the first quarter.